Welcome, Tiger fans, to the Tuesday night edition of the Brevard Insurance Agency Rosman Tiger Coaches Show. Mike West, I'm joined here by Joey Landreth. Matt's behind the camera doing his magic, so we're glad to be here with you. We're glad to bring you the Brevard Insurance Agency Coaches Show. It's an honor to sit down every week and talk with the Tiger fans and talk with the coaches and talk about football.
Yep, it is.
So Joey, went over to Owen Friday night. Owen, not a great football team, but they were pretty good Friday night. They ran the triple option. They executed well. They didn't make a lot of mistakes. We couldn't get our offense going. Our defense and special teams played well in spots. Our special teams was pretty good throughout the game. Our defense played well in spots. Our offense struggled a little bit, but
Yeah, offense looked like it just sort of, well, since that's AstroTurf, so they looked like they were stuck in mud. I mean, they just couldn't get traction. Just didn't look the same as it did the last couple of weeks since they put in that new offense. And so I know, there's been some injuries, and I don't know if that played into it or not, but I'm pretty sure Coach Robinson will get into that a little bit. But I know he told me in the interview I did with him that they had a little wrinkle in that offense, and that was that counter play, and he was right. When they run that thing, they run it to perfection just about all night long.
well, I think one of the things that folks don't consider when you talk about small numbers is not only the injury game, it's the fact that you can't have an 11-on-11 practice. And if you're doing half-line scrimmages, it's really hard to practice against the counter. So it's very tough.
It is, because you got to have somebody to be that pulling guard or coming through.
You
there.
can't see that in practice.
Yes, you can't see that in practice. And and again, I know Coach Robinson won't make a lot of excuses about that either, but it's just one of those things where that's probably maybe a wrinkle out of the, because we run that same offense early in the year.
Right.
And he said in the interview that, we knew we had to tackle the fullback coming through. And so, but again, things just work out the way they did. And, Tigers played hard. They didn't give up. They played all the way through the game. And, it was just a rough night.
Also, while we got a second, I'd like to thank the folks over at Owen. They were really great to us,
they were
cooperative. They helped us out, anything we needed. They were able to oblige. Buncombe County had a policy about us not going in the press box, so they reseated us somewhere else, and we were able to film and able to take care of the ball game. But they just did a wonderful job with hospitality.
Yeah, assistant principal Simpson, she was awesome. You couldn't ask for a better person. She met us at the gate, led us up to where we needed to be. And even at the end of it, she wasn't coming in, she carried our stuff, and then she said, hey, you need some help going back out. So you just can't ask for a better, and she's also the basketball coach over there. You can't ask for, I felt welcome. Everybody from the time we walked through the gate to the time we left.
Well, this week we got the Drawn Wildcats. Never played them.
Yeah.
I don't know if we've ever played them in any sport. I know we haven't played them in football, but I'm not sure we've ever played them in anything before this year.
Yeah.
It's down in Valdez, somewhere down there around Morganton. And we're going to make the trip down there and try to bring you YouTube coverage of the Tigers and the Drawn Wildcats. I know they're big. I know they're physical. They have missed this past week with COVID protocols being done in Madison. But
I think they're making that game up.
In October, so 19th
or 20th.
Yeah. So what? Next week? That'd be a short week. They have to play us and then turn right around and play Madison.
Monday, I think.
So it's a short week for them. But anyhow, don't know a whole lot about the school. Don't know a whole lot about the travel. But Tiger fans, there's time to go down there and And we say this every week. Our kids are struggling. It's not a secret, but we need to get these last two ball games. We need to get folks out to support the kids. It's like Matt talks about. When we see them in Jarrett's, when we see them somewhere, we need to pat them on the back, shake their hand. These kids work hard. They show up. They get beat. They show up.
Yep.
They come back to practice every Monday. They get ready to play on Friday night. They dress out. They go out there on the field. They give it all they got. They come back on Monday. We got to support these kids. We got to support the program. Somewhere we got to start turning this thing around, and that's how it starts, is by supporting these kids.
And I know we're providing YouTube coverage. That doesn't mean that you can sit at home and watch it on YouTube.
Right.
Come to the stadium, pull it up on YouTube. You can listen to our audio of it and watch the game there. But travel. Come on down travel down with us. We'll be leaving Friday afternoon sometime around 2, and just travel down with us. Show the boys your support. Come out, cheer for them. like Mike said, pat them on the back. You know, if you see it at church, anywhere, just pat them on the back, say, hey, you're doing a good job, keep your heads up, you know, keep working. You know, get some of that community pride going and really make them feel good about what they're doing.
Well, Joey, let's take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll talk about last Friday night around the area.
All right?
You're listening to the Brevard Insurance Rosman Tiger Coaches Show. We'll be back after this commercial message.
Hey Tiger Nation, this is Mrs. Coach Rob coming to you from Brevard Insurance Agency. Here's to ensuring the Tigers have a great 2021 season. For all of your other insurance needs, Brevard Insurance wants to help you protect what matters. From home, auto, business, and life to your weekends, boating on the lake, or long motorcycle rides, we've got you covered. Find us online at brevardinsurance.com or give us a call at 388-7490. Go Tigers!
Welcome back, Tiger fans, to the Brevard Insurance Agency Rosman Tiger Coaches Show. We want to thank Brevard Insurance Agency for sponsoring this, for giving us a chance to talk with the coaches. It's been a crazy year. We hope to get a couple more coaches on. We hope maybe in the last episode to get some basketball coaches on, talk about the upcoming season. Anyway, before we start on area scores, Joey, I got one score that's really, really neat. Holmes High School in Edenton beat Currituck County 91-50 last week.
Wow, that's a lot.
I'm not sure what, and I verified that a couple different places, but they said it on the NC Preps, and then I got to looking, and they were like, "Yep, that was really the score." So 91-50.
I know there was a game early in the year. It was like a 80-something to 70-something. So there's some teams out there putting up some
But
points.
if you miss offensive football, you might want to go down to
Yeah.
Edenton and spend the weekend and buy a ticket for Holmes High School, because apparently they put the points
They
in.
put the points. They probably run a spread.
Let's talk about our old conference, man. Some interesting things happened in our old conference last week. Cherokee with just a big upset over Robbinsville,
Yeah,
20-7. I don't know, we didn't see it, but we kept following the score. It was just a huge upset.
Yep.
Murphy took care of business against Hayesville, 56-14. And then one Joey's proud of, Swain 21, Andrews 12. You want to tell them why you're proud of that?
Oh, yeah, because, you know, in our Pig 4 contest we do every week, Matt last week I thought I'd try to increase my lead a little bit on the competition and took a couple games I probably should never took. And then Matt, you know, this week he took Andrews, and I said, nice, homecoming at Swain, and them boys will probably play a really good game, and they showed up and took care of Andrews. But nothing, no disrespect to Andrews. They're having a great season. They're probably going to finish second or third in the Smoky Mountain the way it looks right now. And
Well, right now, coming home, we were trying to figure this out. It appears Murphy's in first place. Cherokee's in second place.
Andrews,
Swain and Andrews are tied for third. Robbinsville's in fifth place.
Fifth place.
This place they're not familiar with.
And I don't know if they're just you know, they've had COVID, twice over there, I think.
Right, and they've had struggles with that, and they picked up opponents like Broome and the team Lenore City, Tennessee, and a couple other teams out that were bigger and stronger outside of the conference. Now, the Broome game a couple weeks ago was a typical mountain versus flatland football. Robbinsville ran for about 290 yards, and Broome passed for about 300, and Broome won 46-43.
Yep.
So they picked up some tough opponents, but right now in conference they're struggling a little
There
bit.
they are.
And we talked about coming home from the Owen game, how much the Smoky Mountain Conference has improved. I mean, with the exception of Hayesville, every team in that conference has been competitive this year. And anybody still could win that conference.
And you know, honestly, I thought Hayesville would be a little more competitive because they got Taggart back.
Right.
And he, not just because he's one player, but just the type of player he is. He's a D1 prospect, and he plays both sides of the ball. And, you know, you sort of thought they'd be a little bit better than what they were.
Other than us in the Western Highlands Conference, our Owen Rosman game, the only other game I could find was Mountain Heritage and Avery, and Mountain Heritage wins that one 40-20. No big surprise there, but
Yeah, Mountain Heritage is,
I think this is the big week, isn't it? I think this is Mountain Heritage and Mitchell coming up Friday night. Is that
I
correct?
believe it is.
So
So I had
that-
to double check that and see.
That'll be for all the cookies, I believe.
Anyway.
Other scores around the area, Franklin over North Henderson 40-14. McDowell 56-7 over Inca. Pisgah, there may not be a better team in the mountains than Pisgah
No, I
right now.
agree.
They beat West, not a surprise, but they shut them out, shut them down. complete domination defensively.
Yeah.
I'm not sure there's a better team in the mountains than Pisgah. You've talked about how they sort of have that incentive this year with the flood, and the community's taken to them and they've taken to the community, and you know, they're getting good crowds going over to Irwin to watch the home games.
Yeah, and I believe this week is the Pisgah-Tuscola match, or game, I should say. And I got a feeling that 50-50 over there, you know, every year it's a big jackpot. I just have a feeling that they're gonna exceed what they think they exceeded in the past with that 50-50 drawing.
And speaking of Tuscola, they defeated East Henderson 47-0. Asheville, AC Reynolds over Irwin 35-14, and then Asheville defeated TC Robertson 46-7. So I don't think any real surprises. The biggest surprise I think in the mountains was Cherokee over Robbinsville. And you know, I read NC Preps quite often, which is nothing but a fan site, but the Cherokee fans have been surprisingly confident all year, and they told these Robbinsville fans, this may not be what you think it is, and sure enough, it wasn't.
It wasn't. And one game we didn't mention, and of course we're just going to mention for a second, is Brevard's game Friday night got postponed, and of course this, you know, to Monday night, so I know that sort of gives away something. But anyway, I mean, just to mention that because there's evidently people that like watch, pull for them too. So. All
right, well, let's take another quick break, and when we come back, we'll have the coaches' interviews with Coach Robinson and JV Coach Tyree Allen. You got anything to say? I mean, I always love to hear the interviews. They're pretty straightforward guys. They tell you what's on their mind. I
enjoy interviewing either one of them. I don't ask the same questions you do, and you know, I'm not as good an interviewer as you are by all means, but I enjoy sitting down and just listening to their take on football and listen to, you know, their insights and stuff like that. And it's always fun for me to do that.
Well, let's take a break. When we come back, you'll have those two interviews, and then we'll come back for a wrap-up after that. And you're listening to, oh no, you're not, you're listening, you're watching the Rosman Tiger Coaches Show, sponsored by Brevard Insurance Agency. We'll be back after this commercial message.
Hey Tiger Nation, this is Mrs. Coach Rob coming to you from Brevard Insurance Agency. Here's to ensuring the Tigers have a great 2021 season. For all of your other insurance needs, Brevard Insurance wants to help you protect what matters. From home, auto, business, and life to your weekends, boating on the lake, or long motorcycle rides, we've got you covered. Find us online at brevardinsurance.com or give us a call at 388-7490. Go Tigers.
Tiger fans, we're here today with varsity coach Dusty Robinson. Coach Robinson, another tough night Friday night. What'd you think about the War Horses?
Well, they didn't do anything that we didn't anticipate. I told the boys, especially defensively all week, we're about to tackle dive, and we're about to play assignment football, which I know is a cliche, but it's true. And you know, you watch the film. When we did that, we had some success, and when we didn't, they had some big plays. So overall, they didn't do anything we thought that we didn't anticipate.
It seemed to have that counter play down to an art. They ran at it any down, any distance, and were very successful with it. I know you talked to your kids about it, but is that just such so different than anything we've seen in the triple option that it's tough to defend? Or?
Well, you know, we run a counter ourselves out of our wing tee set, so a counter is not anything that's foreign to us. It's maybe this is breaking news. It's hard to rep a counter in practice when you don't have enough players to have a backside guard and backside wing.
Right.
So we approximated it the best we could, but that is a big ask, especially for the two linebackers that are sitting in the middle, to not key on dive when we've had a hard time seeing a backside pulling guard all week in practice.
Offensively, we just it was a slow grind this week. Was Owen good at this? Better on defense than you thought, or what did we get? What was going on?
Well, with all due respect to Owen, no, they were about what we thought they would be.
Right.
You know, from watching film and talking to their coach and stuff like that. So nothing about that surprised us. Just to be quite honest about it, we didn't execute well enough up front in any phase of the game, and we weren't able to complete enough passing plays to alleviate some of those problems. So that made it a much rougher.
I think our special teams play was pretty good last week, especially the long kick return. Came up with a turnover here and there, but,
Well, we had no breakdowns. We had no real breakdowns in the special team game. And, you know, Carson is, Carson's our most explosive football player with the ball in his hands. And he managed to take one to the house. So yeah, you know, we completed an extra point attempt. So that operation worked.
right. We get away with no injuries, no, any problems going into next week?
It's hard to ask me that question on Sunday and ask me to answer it honestly. To my knowledge, as of before I walked in here today, everybody was at least fairly healthy, you know, dinged up and hurting, as you would expect. But everybody was healthy. You know, hopefully, you know, we'll get possibly one back this week. We don't know yet. Corey's going to start return to play protocol, and wherever he gets in the process is where he gets. I don't know about his availability yet.
How quick would you know about his availability? Would it be something you know Tuesday, Wednesday? Or?
It'd be middle to the late part of the week would be my guess. That's speculation.
All right, as far as drawing goes, I didn't see a score where they played Friday night. I know they were scheduled to play Madison, but they were both 3-3, I think. What do you know about drawing?
They were scheduled to play Madison, and because of COVID issues on Madison's part, that game got moved to October 19th. So they had an unexpected bye week, and they're now going to have to play on a short week. They are pretty big, pretty physical. They run about 3-4 formations for the most part, primarily, and they try to get downhill and get their big bodies on your bodies and get their running back going. They like to get the tight end involved in the passing game too.
Defensively, do they do anything unexpected or?
Well, no. We'll see some version of a 4-4. If we start gashing them a little bit, I'm sure they'll walk one down and give us a 5-man front. One of the films we have on them is Mitchell, and so Mitchell does a lot of double tight, double wing, which we don't do a lot of double tight, double wing. So they're probably not going to do a lot of the things they did against them, against us, even though it's a similar look.
So, I guess the question is, after drawing in Mitchell, the season's over, of course, how much time are you going to take off, and then how does the process start from there?
Sure. Well, so we'll end on the 22nd. We'll end on October 22nd, but then the varsity or the JV will play the following week after that. So we'll have a week where we're still playing football. And then at that point, we're going to give these kids a chance to. We're not going to let them go. You never can. You can't ever let them go. But we're going to let them have a chance to move on to whatever it is they're going to do next. You know, obviously we're encouraging them to play basketball or wrestle. If they choose not to do that, you know, that's their choice. But we're going to give them a chance to unplug, because when you take into account like an Andrew Staney or a Carson Lottie, just to use a couple of examples, they started because Alex Jenkins, they started with basketball back in December, and they went basketball, football with an overlap, into baseball or track with not an overlap, but they were right there together, and then baseball and track ended, and then we were right into summer football and directly into the season. So, you know, the coaches are going to need a chance to reach out. We're still going to be after them by getting in the weight room and supporting them if they're playing their other sports, but they also need a chance to beat students and beat kids for a little while and recharge.
You just brought up an interesting question, and I'll close with this one. How did that almost back-to-back football season, how did that impact you as a coaching staff, you as a team? I mean, we pretty much went football to football. There were some things in between, but more or less there was no rest and recovery period this year.
Right. Well, that's really hard to say. I've got a couple of answers. I think it's a different story for the ones who I named, who didn't miss a beat and came all summer, and the ones who didn't. You know, JV and varsity, some of them, when football ended, that was it. and we didn't see them all summer.
Right.
And then they were back at some point in August. Those had a much different experience than the ones who went bang, bang, bang. So I don't know how to answer that question. I would imagine that the ones who have been engaged with something since December or February are tired. I think it probably has. I think the back-to-back compressed schedule affected our numbers not only in February but this year. I think starting JV football early in the summer, if you look at our numbers, we had a bunch of kids on the JV. We had great numbers JV-wise last year, and the difference was when we started practice, we were in the building. Everybody was in the building. And JV football very rarely gets that opportunity. Normally it's starting up and you don't know when you're going to get them because they can't get rides and stuff. So I think it affected our numbers. I think it caused some kids who maybe were potentially feeling burnout, or at least on the varsity side, it really heightened it. I mean, our seniors have not had a regular school year since their freshman year.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So all those factors, you can't ignore the fact that they had to compound and have some effect.
And I thought one of the things I was worried about coming into this year didn't seem to affect us. It might have, I don't know, was carryover injuries. You know, you get your leg hurt in spring football, it's still hurting when you come to camp in August. I don't know that it affected us. I think there's some other teams around the mountains that affected more, but.
Well, we had now, yeah, there are some that it affected, I think, a little bit more. But we were impacted by it. You know, we had an 8th grade lineman who was going to be a dandy, and is still going to be. But he had an injury, and his happened pretty early,
Right.
and it still carried over and caused him to miss football.
Right.
And then there was another, he would have been a sophomore, who got injured at Andrews, injured his knee, and he was not able to play this year because of that, and he would have absolutely been a contributor on the varsity level, you know, right now.
Well, Coach, I appreciate you tolerating my off-the-wall questions, and we thank you for your time, and it's always good to talk to you. And anything else you want to say before we take a break?
The end of our it's the end of our road trip. Drawn's a long trip, and I know you guys are doing a great job on YouTube. But I would encourage everyone to either watch us on YouTube or make the trip to Valdez and come support us.
All right, with that, we'll be back after this commercial message. You're watching the Brevard Insurance Roswell Tiger Coaches Show.
Go Tigers!
Hey Tiger Nation, this is Mrs. Coach Rob coming to you from Brevard Insurance Agency. Here's to ensuring the Tigers have a great 2021 season. For all of your other insurance needs, Brevard Insurance wants to help you protect what matters. From home, auto, business, and life to your weekends, boating on the lake, or long motorcycle rides, we've got you covered. Find us online at brevardinsurance.com or give us a call at 388-7490. Go Tigers!
Tiger fans, we're joined now by head JV coach Tyree Allen. Coach, played Mitchell Thursday night. What did you see out of them?
Mitchell, they showed up and they executed plays. They didn't put the ball on the ground, and we just didn't score enough to keep them in range.
Was it quirk in the schedule? Was it your second game against Mitchell?
Yes.
How did that work? Was it just because of COVID or what?
The first game, I didn't feel like we showed up and played to our capabilities, and it showed. The scoreboard definitely showed. And Thursday night, I just feel we put the ball on the ground too much, and we didn't execute all the things that we worked throughout the week, and it just came back to bite us. Yeah, they run the score up on us a little bit there, but I don't necessarily think that they were a better team than us. We didn't play up to our potential, and that's just something that we're going to have to learn from. And
That was my next question. Part of what you do as a coach, and I know you do this, I know Coach Robinson does this, when you take a tough loss like that, what do you take out of it, and what do you do? How do you keep from dropping the ball on the ground? Those are the things you're working on.
the first thing is just staying focused. I mean, there are things that happen during football. The ball's going to go on the ground eventually, but you got to learn how to overcome those adversities and be able to keep playing and not let it affect the rest of the game. I've always heard that statement, play for the next play. And that's something that is really, really hard to get over, especially whenever you've got the ball and you're driving it and next thing you know, it's gone. it's hard to get back, keep your composure, and make another play so you can score.
So you got the Owen Warhorses coming up this week. We watched them Friday night. Do they really do that much differently on JVs than they do on varsity?
They're a little different on the JV level. Things are a little slower for them. Their numbers are kind of slacking a little bit on the JV level as well. So it's a little bit more of a level playing field, I guess you can say. But we're just going to go in, prepare just like we did a couple weeks ago. They like to run that 3-3 stack and walk those outside backers up, try to keep us from getting outside. But hopefully we can learn from the last game and just continue to push forward in that as well.
Offensively, they triple option, do the run to counter. I mean, pretty much the same playbook as the varsity has. Or?
It's similar. I think they're limited because of their athletes. They don't necessarily have the athletes on the JV level that they do on the varsity level, so they have to limit their plays, and they don't have as big of a package, I guess you could say.
All right. Well, explain what happens after the. I know there's another ball game after the Owen ball game, but we're not real sure how everything's going to work out. Could you take a minute and kind of explain that to the listeners, viewers?
Well, right now we know that we have Owen, and then we have to play Madison after that, and then there's kind of like this championship ring that like first and second will play for the winner, and then third and fourth will play, and then whoever's left out gets that last position, so to speak.
Okay.
But we're just gonna have to play through and see how these next two games go, and hopefully we can at least play for that third place spot.
So we asked Coach Robinson in his interview, after the season's over, then what? What's on your plate as a JV coach?
We're just gonna, like you said, try to recharge a little bit and keep pushing forward. Try to get some athletes out. Hopefully we can get them out in wrestling and basketball and get them prepped for track. And I hope that we can get a lot of numbers on their feet and running this spring. If we can get them out there running and getting used to being on their feet, I think it'll help us tremendously when football season rolls back around during the fall.
All right. So I just want to clarify this for listeners, because sometimes there's a lot of discussion about specialization and everything. As a college athlete yourself, how beneficial was that second sport in your primary sport?
Oh man, I could sit here and I could talk to you all day about being a multiple sport athlete. Playing baseball, playing basketball definitely helped mold me as a football player. A lot of people may think I'm crazy for saying that, but I played receiver.
Right.
I didn't know that I would be playing receiver in college.
Right.
I've always been a wingback. Even though there are some aspects of receiver from the wingback position, I had trouble catching the go ball. I could run it down, but I just had a hard time tracking it. So how did I get better tracking the go ball? I played baseball. I played center field. It's a lot easier to hit pop flies with somebody from a coach than it is to go out and throw and run 60 yards down the field for a whole day. So playing center field helped me to be able to track the ball better. Running track helped me to be able to get my wind and my endurance up. And playing basketball, it helped me to utilize my body when the ball's in the air to be able to keep the defender off of me and still go after the football. And if I wasn't a multiple sport athlete, I don't think my body would have responded anywhere near as well as it did.
Coach, we appreciate your time and keep us abreast of what's going on with the championship round. We definitely want to get support. We get support down there. We either want to get fans at the home game. We want to get YouTube the game or something. But we definitely want the folks here in Roswell supporting those JV Tigers.
Yes, sir. And we really do appreciate you guys for doing what you do. It's a blessing, and we just got to continue to keep striving, let things fall into place, and get these kids out here and showing them that this experience is something worth fighting for.
There you have it from Coach Allen. We'll be back in a moment. You're watching the Brevard Insurance Agency Roswell Tiger Coaches Show.
Go Tigers.
Hey Tiger Nation, this is Mrs. Coach Rob coming to you from Brevard Insurance Agency. Here's to ensuring the Tigers have a great 2021 season. For all of your other insurance needs, Brevard Insurance wants to help you protect what matters. From home, auto, business, and life to your weekends, boating on the lake, or long motorcycle rides, we've got you covered. Find us online at brevardinsurance.com or give us a call at 388-7490. Go Tigers!
Welcome back, Tiger fans. We're here on the Brevard Insurance Agency Robin Tiger Coaches Show. Just got a chance to hear from both coaches. Joey, as we said before the last segment, always a great interview. I especially enjoy the talks we have after the camera goes off, but those are good talks too. But that's where you learn about what these guys love for the game. You know, absolutely.
Exactly.
You can see it on the cameras, but when you talk to them after the interview, that's where you get their passion for the game and their passion for making these kids a better football team.
Exactly, and you know, in Coach Rob's interview, he pretty much summed it up like he said that the not being able to practice against that counter was really hard for them, and Coach Allen said they put the ball on the ground too much, and so he said they thought they played better than they did the first time against Mitchell, and so, both of them just have a deep passion for football and making these young men better players, better gentlemen, or community people.
Well, we also need to emphasize what Coach Allen was talking about in his interview. We're going to have a playoff game.
Yeah.
Don't know yet if it's going to be in Rosman or where it's going to be, but we've got a third versus fourth round, number 3 versus number 4 playoff game. So if it's at home, we definitely need our fans out. We need people watching the game. We need people on YouTube. We need people at the stadium. We need it loud. We need an atmosphere.
Right.
And
we do, and they need to be there to support these young men, because most of these young men will be moving up next year to varsity, and just show them some pride.
And on top of that, in the new conference, we're playing in a playoff game. Last year, we finished in the Smoky Mountain Conference Championship game. This year, in the playoffs again. So you just can't give enough credit to Coach Allen for what he's done with that program.
No, you can't at all. He's really turned that program around, and Coach Robinson turned around the varsity as well.
Right. Let's talk about volleyball again. Our volleyball team's on fire. I mean, they're tearing it up.
Yep.
Another win this week. Now, for the first time this year, they actually lost a game. Not a set, but a game in conference.
Right.
They had this big win early in the year over Pisgah, and they had a tight loss to Brevard. Since then, it's just been complete domination. Such to the point that we have only lost one game in conference, and that was against Drawn, and that was last week. So the Tigers play 4 more games, I believe is what Matt said. Matt keeps us up on the schedules and stuff, but one will be played before this is broadcast on Tuesday night. Then there's one more game after that this week and 2 next week. And I hope we can get Coach Williams on the show next week to talk about where we go from here. I think they're doing rankings a little differently this year. They're ranking them east and west. And last I saw, I think we were ranked 7th in the west. So probably going to get a good seed in the tournament. Probably going to get a couple home playoff games. And, got to get fans out here for that too. Not only do we need a crowd for the JV, the playoff game, the last game, home game at Mitchell for the varsity, but we need people in the playoffs to push these Tigers through.
Yep.
So, any thoughts on volleyball? I mean, I don't know the game. I love the game. Love to come watch the game. Don't understand it. I'm like, hey, what just happened? That's great.
That's me. I don't know much about it, because when I played way back in many years ago in PE and stuff, it's completely changed.
Sure.
And so I have no clue. I'm just saying that, and I hate to say that, but I've tried to watch it. I tried to watch a college game, which is similar to the high school game, and there's just no way to keep up with everything that's going on. And if we get a chance to do it on YouTube, we'll definitely have to have somebody come in and help us with that, because I have no idea. I can tell you they spiked it or they volleyed back across the net, but other than that.
So you just do what I do, Joey. When I come up here, I just sit, and when everybody around me cheers, I cheer.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
But we love the fact that the Tigers are on fire, that they're leading the conference. Looks like if things go well, we win the conference in our first year in the Western Highland Conference in volleyball. So what a great start.
Exactly right. Exactly right. It is a great start, and I think you'll see probably some of that carry over in the girls' basketball. I think the girls' basketball team's going to be very competitive. Hadn't heard much about the boys yet because they hadn't got started just yet, but they'll be getting there.
As a matter of fact, that's what I was going to say. Coming up in November 1st, basketball starts. We'd like to get the the men's and women's coaches out for a discussion here on this last, wrap-up show. We may continue with this show, I don't know. Certainly, we once again want to thank Brevard Insurance Agency for allowing us to bring this show, and for allowing us to do the coaches interview, and as I said, there's plenty of opportunities to come out and support the Tigers.
Yeah, one more thing I'd like to say before we close out is, I'd like to thank all of our advertisers and sponsors, corporate sponsors that's really made Friday night possible, made this possible. It's just been, to me, it's been a great blessing to work with them, get them behind us, and a lot of things that went into this, and I know you've worked hard, Matt's worked hard, and we're getting there. So just bear with us. I know there were some folks that texted us the other night and said, hey, your scoreboard hadn't changed. Well, it took me a minute to figure out how to change the scoreboard on that program. So
what do you call this? A work in progress?
it's a work in progress, so hang in there with us.
And speaking of that work in progress, Friday night, as we bring you live coverage of Rosman Tiger football on YouTube, you can go to our YouTube page. You can find Rosman Tiger Sports Network in the search engine of YouTube, or you can simply go to our website, scroll down and click on YouTube, or you can go to Instagram, Facebook, or Twitter.
Right.
We will copy the feed, or the link to the feed on there, and pregame starts at 6:15, and our kickoff starts at 7:30. So.
Right. And two, one thing I want to mention too, if you can't travel, we want you to travel to support the boys. But if you can't, pull us up, if you've got a smart TV, you can pull us up on the big screen and you can watch the game, and
Right.
you can listen to us call the ball game. And we're still learning on how to call the ball game, because we done it on radio.
It's different,
so
it's different.
It's different, and so we'll transition and get better at it. And, so just share the link. That's the thing. If you got grandparents or other folks there that may not know how to get to YouTube,
Right.
kids, show them how to get there so they can watch the action.
Well, as Matt said, if you're watching this show, you already know how to get to YouTube, but if you can share that link with your grandma, with your aunt, with your
Yeah,
sister, with your
anybody.
brother, whatever, who may not be watching this, and that'll really help to expand the coverage, and it'll help to get these Tigers on TV.
Right, I agree.
All right, that wraps it up for this show, and until next time, God bless the Tiger Nation, and good night.